2021, the year of Sinnoh. Or I guess technically 2022 also, since we've got the Diamond and Pearl remakes and of course Legends Arceus coming out next year. And today we're going to be talking about some potential new forms for these games. Of course, we don't quite know yet what's going to make it into the remakes, if we're going to get Mega Evolutions or regional variants. But today I want to dive more specifically into Legends Arceus rather than Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, because I feel like there's a lot more potential in that game to see new Pokemon pop up, or at least new forms for existing Pokemon. So if you guys are as excited as I am for Legends Arceus, make sure to smash like and get ready, because we got some pretty awesome fan art in today's video. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet to stay tuned for future videos on Diamond Pearl or whatever else I might come up with from this little pea brain. Even though this video I barely really came up with anything, I gotta give a huge shout out to all the artists that have made such awesome fan art of these potential new forms for Legends Arceus, and of course Editor Sama for compiling them for me, because I haven't actually seen any of these, so it'll be my first reaction to any of them. And we're gonna begin with the starters of Legends Arceus, which we know from the trailers, of course, is gonna be a little mashup of 3 different generations. We've got Cyndaquil from Johto, Oshawott from Unova, and of course Rowlet from Alola. I'm actually a big fan of all 3 of these choices, although I guess Rowlet does stand out as the only one that, when fully evolved, is a dual type Pokemon. So I think a lot of people are wondering if perhaps they're gonna get new evolutions or different evolutions in the Sinnoh of days past. I would certainly love to see it, so let's get started with Cyndaquil, who has been portrayed here as a fire and dark type Typhlosion, and that is a pretty cool typing, of course, shared with Incineroar. Shinoblast is, I guess, the unofficial name here. Would that mean that it's not Typhlosion anymore at all? That's interesting, because I always thought of them more as like a regional variant, kind of like Alolan or Galarian forms, and so it would still be called Typhlosion, but Shinoblast, of course from the Shino region, I think is the name in Japanese, and then Blast, because that boy do be blasting that heat out of its whole body apparently. Of course, the regular Typhlosion only has its flame collar, but here you can see kind of gashes all across its body. Maybe heat comes from all over it. I really like the way it's designed to kind of look like a ninja, and it kind of fits with this theory or speculation that I've seen about the starters that they picked being archetypes of like Japanese military. So you have Rowlet or Decidueye as the archer, Samurott of course as the samurai, and then Typhlosion's a little debatable, but I've heard people say it's kind of like the shogun or the leader of the army. It definitely fits also as a ninja, so I really like this depiction of it here, like the archer, ninja, and samurai. And speaking of samurai, why don't we take a look at Oshawott next, or Katanagua as the Drake 95 has called it. I just realized what the name comes from actually. Katana plus agua, which is water in Spanish, even though it does sound kind of Japanese, Katanagua. But of course it is even more of a samurai than the actual Samurott design looked like. I actually always pictured it going up on 2 legs, or rather staying on him, because of course Oshawott stands on 2 legs, then Duat, and then when you go to Samurott, it's on all 4s, and I always found that kind of weird. So I definitely like this design, kind of sticking more to the samurai look, being on 2 legs and having the shell sword instead of unicorn horn, because I can't be the only one that found that really weird. Like going from Duat having its 2 little seashells as like knives or whatever, and then Samurott doesn't even have the sword, or I guess technically it does, but it's weird that it's on all 4s, so I actually really like this design of it instead. And being a water fighting type, I don't think has actually been a combination, at least for a starter water Pokemon. And last but not least, we got Yabubosame. I'm struggling with these names, so we'll just call it Decidueye as we normally know it. But here it is a grass and psychic type rather than grass and ghost, still maintaining that archer pose or just inspiration. It's definitely more majestic and royal looking, and I really like the look on its face. Is a bit more serious. I mean, Decidueye's always been pretty serious, but now instead of a ghostly arrow, it shoots psychic arrows from its mind, which is also a really cool concept. Actually, doesn't Decidueye have physical arrows too? What even makes it a ghost type, now that I think about it? I really love the way they made its bottom feathers look like a robe flowing down, and even the you know, actual feathers on its wings, kind of look like they're draping down like clothes. It's a really, really sick design. And Grass and Psychic type also hasn't really been done as a starter Pokemon. I can only think of Celebi, actually. So it'd be nice to have a non-legendary, well, no, there's Exeggutor, never mind. This is way cooler than Exeggutor. I think we can all agree to that. But that's not all for the new or old Sinnoh starter, since we're back in the past in these games, as here we have another depiction of the final form for Typhlosion, now called Tyfury. Again, fire and dark type. What's up with the fire dark, dude? Like, I like Incineroar, but this feels a little more like a fire dragon to me. Clearly the design took some inspiration from kind of Chinese or Japanese dragons. The more I look at it, I really like it because it fits with the body type of Cyndaquil, or while going into Quilava, it kind of elongates. So going into Typhlosion, it elongates even more, becoming an almost serpentine body with flames swirling around it. But again, I don't really see it as fire dark. I do like the design a lot though, especially with the flames themselves kind of swirling around it like a scarf. Here we have Faken Man's interpretation of the final Decidueye form, which is definitely more feminine looking than the last Archer. Although I'd have to imagine it's not going to be just female. I mean, we've seen with Pokemon like Primarina, they can have both genders but have a more feminine looking form. So this one, I would say, is a little more of a feminine take on Decidueye. Or maybe I'm just making it all up. I don't know, but that's just my take on it. But I do like the design a lot. For some reason, it reminds me of a melon, or technically cantaloupe, like with the very bright green colors. Not really super fitting with the Dartrix and Rowlet color scheme, but I still do like this take on it called Zenkuro. And also Grass and Psychic. What the heck? These guys were totally aligned. Both having fire, dark Typhlosions, and now Grass and Psychic Decidueye. That's definitely interesting how even though fans have such wildly different ideas on design, they still line up on the types. Even with Samurott, what the heck? Water and fighting type Rakurai. I like that name actually. It's got Rai in there. It just sounds cool. And this one definitely has more of a defined shape on the sword. And Samurai helmet. Yo, I actually really like the helmet. Again, it's on 2 legs instead of 4, which I'm a big fan of. I gotta say, I think I like Katanagua a little bit more for this one, because the big shell helmet, I'm sure these artists did their research, so they're probably both historically accurate, or at least based on something from history, but I only play video games, so I know them from like Fire Emblem. Either way, I'm just glad my boy Samurott is on 2 legs, as it rightfully should have been. And so we're gonna switch it up and do one more Samurott form. This time, Cryowatt, a water and ice type. There's no water ice starter, is there? Definitely a similar design, but a different typing than the other two, with the horn on Samurott now being an icicle. That's actually really cool, no pun intended, but it does maintain the original Samurott design with at least having that horn, but now ice, of course, 'cause it's water ice type, and even the sword is a big ol' icicle. If this was a regional variant, or I guess ancestor form, since we're in Sinnoh, you know, 1,000 years ago, or however long it's been, different typing would make sense, or at least if Oshawott was raised more up north, like close to Snow Point City, I could definitely see it evolving into a water ice type like this. And as with the other two, I just love how it's standing on 2 legs. Like, that's just how Samurott should have always been. Now for Decidueye, Wasmon has decided to go with a thief-inspired look, a grass and dark type named Thievowl, which looks super sick. I'm definitely getting some Naruto Akatsuki vibes, or just evil guy in general, which definitely fits for a dark type, as they've always been known to be more conniving and sneaky rather than just darkness itself. This is what would happen if Dartrix went completely emo. Like, you can already see the hair growing over its eye there, but now as Thievowl, it's completely covering it, and yeah, it completely went to the darkness, going full edgelord, which I guess would be more of a ninja theme than an archer, which I don't mind necessarily. Finally, we've got Cynertice, or Cynertis, let's just say the fire-fighting Typhlosion. Yes, exactly what we needed, another fire and fighting type starter. Although, to be fair, we haven't had one in a while now. I think Game Freak realized they had one too many and decided to cool off of it for a bit. So I think it's about time we get another one added to the list, with Typhlosion now having some ashy tips. I don't know about this actually. Well, it's still got the flaming tail. I was gonna say, the whole thing about Typhlosion, you gotta have that like explosion a fire behind it. And this time, instead of around its neck, we have it on the tail with a bit of a darker color scheme there. I don't necessarily see what makes this a fighting type personally, but I do like the design of it a lot. And if it wasn't for the fact that we already have so many fire fightings, I think it'd be pretty cool actually. The Sinnoh starters aren't the only ones to get some ancient love, as here we have Inteleon in its ancestral form, although I'm not sure what the Galar starters would be doing in the ancient Sinnoh region. I do really like the design. It's also sort of ninja looking with a kunai or Assassin's Creed blade coming out of its arm. Cinderace is more like the magician now, although still just plain fire type. Actually, Inteleon was also just pure water. I'm gonna guess it's the same for Rillaboom, but this one definitely more inspired by like that mage or mystical shaman of the past. Not a huge fan of the robe it's wearing. You know, we can leave that to Delphox, although I guess this would make a good counterpart, like the sorcerer and the witch kind of thing. But it's still holding up its leg like it's kicking the rock instead of conjuring it like a World of Warcraft spell or something. So I'm not sure how to feel about it, but Rillaboom is my favorite Galar starter personally, and here we have it as the drummer. You know, you can't have the ancient army without the drummer leading the march. I think they called it like the Death March, or maybe I'm pulling this out of my ass, I don't know. But he's got the gong, the old school version of the drums that Rillaboom, the regular one, has, and I really like the kind of ponytail thing it's got going on with the grass, and also the little bow tie around its waist. This is pretty cool, although again, just pure grass type, ain't nothing too crazy. So that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and let me know what you thought of these alternate evolutions for the starters in Legends Arceus. Are they actually gonna happen? Probably not, but it is cool to see fans speculate on what they might look like, and just the thought that maybe the starters evolved differently back in the past of Sinnoh. And speaking of ancient Sinnoh, I've actually got some more really cool fan art of potential ancestral forms for the Sinnoh Pokemon, or what certain ones would have looked like, you know, 1,000 or however many years ago in the past this game takes place. So if you enjoyed this style of video and want to see part 2, make sure to smash that like button. Let's see if we can hit 2,000 likes, and we will post the next episode or part in this sort of series. Which one of these starter evolutions was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below, and I will catch you in the next episode video. Whatever, end it now.